Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias.
I've got a friend who's actually a model builder, Rambler 69, and he also happens to collect knives. He's actually got some Randalls, which someday I really got to take a look at. I haven't seen them yet. But in any case, he lives several states away, and he's downsizing his knife collection, and he's decided he was going to get rid of his bayonets because it's not something that he normally collects. But he had a selection of about 8 or 9 bayonets. Now, most of the bayonets that he had, I also had, so I wasn't going to buy them all. But there were 2 bayonets that he had, actually 3, I believe, that he had that I did not have. But there were only 2 that I was truly interested in getting, and that was the Swedish one here and the Swiss one I'll be showing you in a minute. Now this is the Swedish M1896 bayonet for the M1896 Mauser that was used by Sweden. And you can tell from the date, 1896, that's when the Mauser was picked up for use by the Swedish Army, and same with the bayonet. The bayonet came about at the same time. We'll start with the frog here. If you notice, you got the leather strap here that goes over the button, or whatever you want to call that. I always forget what it's called, of the scabbard, and it holds the scabbard in place. I've opened it up. The leather's in really good shape though. You can see you can just pull it right out, and then you have the frog by itself, and you notice that it uses a buckle, not a snap. It uses a buckle because of how old this was. So that is very common for some of the older bayonet frogs to have a buckle and snaps like that. And so here's the bayonet with the scabbard. You got a very thin pressed metal. It's obviously that it was a tube that had been stamped. You got a rib running down the edge there, and you got the big bulb on the bottom, which is also very common in a lot of old bayonets. And also, if you can see here, there's the bayonet. You got the little flathead screw, which holds the throat into the bayonet scabbard. Very common the way this was made, and you see a lot of scabbards made just like that. But here's the bayonet itself. Top edge is not sharp. The bottom edge has a bit of an edge, but is not really that sharp either. Really good shape there, and you see the number there, and see the little crown on there, and then the maker over here, and you see the spot for hooking it in there, and then the handle is hollow, and I believe this actually goes over something as well as the barrel ring. So you got the barrel ring up here, but something could have also easily been inserted into there. I do not think there was a plug there or anything, because if you notice, there's also here, which is the latch that hooks into something as well. So I'd need to really take a look at an M1896 Swedish Mauser to see how this actually hooked onto there. But it's just a really cool knife, and this is all steel, a steel handle, which is really interesting when you consider how far north Sweden is. But feels really good in the hand, and you got your typical spear point blade. It is also thicker here, and then you can see where they started machining to thin the blade so that you can have better penetration and stuff. And obviously it has a fuller that runs almost the entire length of the blade. Blade length I think is around 9 or 10 inches, which yeah, actually the blade length is 8¼ inches. So as blade lengths go for bayonets, this is a relatively short bayonet, especially for World War I kind of time period. So this may have been something that was introduced a little bit later. I don't know. I do not know how long Sweden used their 1896 Mausers for. This might have still been getting used around the time of World War II, but we also have to remember that Sweden was a neutral nation even in World War II. So just a kind of a cool little bayonet though. And the other knife I have is also a bayonet from a neutral nation. And that is the STG 57 bayonet, or the Sturmgewehr 57 bayonet, used by Switzerland. And obviously the Sturmgewehr 57, or the STG 57, was introduced to Swiss service around that time, 1957. The Sturmgewehr 57 was the assault rifle version that was adopted by the Swiss Army in 7.5 millimeter, and it is very similar to the SG-10. But the Sturmgewehr 57 is the one used by the Swiss Army, and this is the bayonet that goes with it. And well, again, you have a frog. It has this snap going around, this time also through a little spot up here, a little channel. You pull the whole thing out and there's your frog, but you do have this connection portion which is actually snapping into this, and this handle is not metal, it's actually plastic. So it's got a plastic handle on it. You've got a rubberized grip going on here. Now these bayonets were made by several companies that I'm fairly certain they're made by more than just the two I'm most familiar with, and that is Victorinox and Wenger. This one is by Wenger. I know Victorinox also made them, but I think a couple other companies also made these bayonets for the Swiss Army. And you see some markings on the back there, and very tight coming out. And we see here the number on there, and the W, that is for Wenger. And then on the back side, I think that might be the Waffen mark. I'm not 100% sure. Neither side of this blade is sharp. You can see a little bit of something that might look like an edge, but really not sharp on either side. I don't know if this was ceremonial or not. I have seen these, almost every one of them I've seen has always had a bright metal blade. They're never darkened or anything like that. It's always bright metal. Again, I don't know if it's ceremonial or not. It might have been an issue one. The handle, like I said, is a black rubber. You obviously have the barrel ring, and then a little snap right there where it goes into a pipe or something, and that is your release right there. You actually pull this forward. It's like a button you have to pull forward, if you can see there. See it move? And that brings down the metal bar. If you can see it in there, I don't think you can see it. See that metal bar? You pull and it releases it off of whatever its catch is. But that's the Swiss version, or the Swiss bayonet, the STG 57 bayonet for the Sturmgewehr 57 used by Switzerland. And I'm not sure if they're still using that rifle today or not, but these are out there and around, and just a really interesting, pretty cool bayonet. And what's also interesting with this one is blade length. We're talking, if you can see there, 9.5 inches for the blade. 9.5 inches. And this is a post-World War II bayonet. So that is a really long bayonet. Kind of interesting. In any case, I thought I'd share that with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you again soon.
Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.